Extending Argo CD. Who wants to kick this off of what it means extending Argo CD?
Uh,
This chapter has a lot of things, so it was, I guess,
it,
hard to name the title.
it was a very robust chapter. Would you say that, Christian? It was robust in terms of it was action packed. We started off
Yeah.
by talking about Argo comes with a lot of great capabilities and features out of the box. However, um, there are many cases where you want to extend and kind of push Argo to the limits. And Argo, fortunately, does give you the knobs, the whistles, etc., to do so. And we cover a couple of them inside this chapter. The first is probably the most popular is going to be config management plugins.
Yeah, and I want to point out, Christian and Andy, that this documentation for these things is on their operator manual, because these are things that the operator or the admin will be things that it would do. Would not be I think in Argo CD we call the developer the user, right? So to set expectations that this will be like a one-time setup, secure setup that a administrator or operator, I think in docs we call it operator, would do, right? Not uh, the regular user that logs into the UI start like doing these changes. Is that correct?
Correct. You typically would have the operator would go in and configure the config management plugin, and then you enable the potentially the application team or those who are creating the Argo apps to be able to hook into it.
Yep, yep. Yeah, just to clarify, because sometimes some people have the perception that a tool could be Kubernetes or Argo CD is very complex and we should not be using it, right? Discard it because they have so much documentation or possible things that you have to do where they're not the persona, right? That this configuration is for. It's for the persona that actually knows what they're doing, is the operator setting it up, and is like the small number of people in the org, right? The majority of people would be using the normal users, right, of the Argo CD. Will be a few people that will be like customizing, and it needs all this complexity, right, to have the flexibility that you mentioned. So config management plugin. What is a plugin? What is it for exactly?
It's mainly for you to, so basically it's a way that you can basically intercept the rendering of manifests and inject your own customization of the manifest. Remember, all Argo does is it reads source and it just it then outputs YAML to the Kubernetes API.
And
All you
by default, it comes with a few, right? Like maybe three, but not. Then you go beyond that. Then you need the plugin, right? What are the
so
basic three?
Yeah.
yeah, so you
Well,
have well, it comes down to you have how you're obtaining content from a source. The plugin doesn't handle that. You're
Okay.
only going to have out of the box really well. I'm going to count OCI now. You're going to have three total. Get,
Yeah.
Helm, and now OCI as the three different types of input content where you can actually source data from. You then have several different types of how you render those manifests. That'd be a Helm, that'd be JSON, that'd be customized. And then what the plugin allows you to do is to go ahead and once that is processed, you can perform additional actions on top of that. So your plugin is going to be receiving basically a stream of input, which is basically just the raw manifests that come from Argo. And then based upon your business logic, you're able to manipulate the content that then gets eventually sent to the Kubernetes API.
I see. And Argo CD has logic, right? An ordering of like when you pass in a source and a folder, right? It will detect if you have a customization.yaml, or
Yep.
maybe you have a chart.yaml, or you just have a vanilla.yaml. JSON it or .json,
JSON is still there. I wouldn't say I've
right?
used it in forever
yeah.
and a half.
It actually isn't supported anymore. So like it's like Andy said, it's still there, has not been touched in
Yeah.
since like 2.4 or something so like I wouldn't even recommend using it just because it hasn't been touched The code base for that hasn't been touched in a long time.
Okay. So the plugin, this plugin is for people is to, if I have a folder and one of those, like the normal, we'll say the normal or most common way of like handling a folder that has a chart, the YAML or a Helm chart or a customization or a YAML, then Argo will handle it. But if I have a different type of file, right, it could be QLang. At some point in my previous work, we created a language like a DSL, and it was just a .json file or I think it was TypeScript even. And that out of that TypeScript, you wanted to generate the YAML, or it could be there's a lot of programs, right, that would translate from one language to give you back the raw JSON. It could be a programming language, right, like JSON, like JavaScript, Python, or it could be something like QLang, or it could be something like um, what's the other one that is very popular. It's something that will render, right? It'll be your own program or DSL, and you need to like run an extra tool that Argo doesn't have. Is that's the use case of like, or maybe inject? Maybe you have a YAML and then you need to like do some processing, pre-processing.
One of the most common config management plugins you just mentioned with injection is, well, I don't agree with it in terms of how it's being used, is the Vault Secret plugin, which allows you to inject sensitive data into your manifests from an external source, like a HashiCorp vault, etc.
Yeah, Raymond is saying that he loves plugins. They have 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Have 8,
We have 8
Raymond.
plugins. Wow. That's
Ah,
very,
wow.
very specific. The
YTT.
that's very that's that,
Raymond. Yeah, that's the
yeah,
one I was
YTT.
mentioning.
Yeah, that was the
YTT.
one. Yeah.
Previous life, I was doing a lot of Knative, and I was from VMware. We were doing a lot of YTT.
Was that with a Carvel? Was that
Yeah.
the old
Yeah,
Carvel
yeah,
suite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. We have a lot of YTT and Argo CD Vault.
Yeah, like
plugins.
Carvel, VMware folks, now Broadcom. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, like I worked for research, and we had a DSL, kind of like it's like domain language, right? You can create your own language, but I guess later QLang was invented. So this is something that you need to add to. So the first thing I wanted to say, like this, to me, I don't know if it was highlighted or not, but this looks like a CRD, like config management plugin, like something that you do kubectl apply, and there's a controller that will see this and then like handle it, or it's not. That's not how it works.
It's not. No, it's
Okay.
not an actual CRD, but it's basically a YAML formatted, basically a structured YAML formatted document within a config map.
But if I'm brave enough, I could write a controller, right? That I could put this and inject something into Argo CD. I
You
guess.
could, but yeah.
But this is something that is a gets. This is a file, right? That this is YAML file that gets passed to the Argo CD server, and these are the instructions that it has. So let's go over what this thing does quickly. Like it has different top level things like init, generate, discover. What do those 3 things do?
Yeah, so discover is because you can actually make conditionals on whether your plugin executes or not. So discover will discover based upon certain conditions whether you want to actually have your plugin run. So a good example is, as you mentioned, Carlos, certain types of files that happen to be in your repository. You can do a find, and if it detects one of those files, it knows it needs to operate. Or if it doesn't, it won't actually execute the plugin or not.
And is orthogonal, right? You can specify a specific glob with a file name, or just say find with a glob, or just like execute this command to find the list, right?
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
folder.
Yeah.
And I think in the documentation also says that you can filter even down the list of the files that you get through the annotation of like generated path. Like sometimes we have so much information that it's also supported that you don't get those files, but that's at the level, it's respected, I would say, right?
Yes, it is.
And then so that's discover, and then generate. What's the generate?
Generates where your primary function occurs. It's basically what you use to generate the actual manifest that will then get sent to the eventual Kubernetes plugin, Kubernetes API.
Okay. And this is where like hackers like to put their code.
Yeah, because that's where the primary logic of a plugin goes. So it's your best opportunity to cause harm, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that hackers love to put stuff in here that looks like a curl, but it's not a curl. It's sending information somewhere.
Yep.
But yeah, I was just joking for people that are not like know me very well. But that's why I said I started like
Carlos is a joker. It's all right. We love you,
Yeah,
Carlos.
yeah.
so this is why I started like this is an operator, right? Like this needs to be like blessed in your an organization. This is remote execution code, right? That you're giving Argo CD like run code, and this code can come from this YAML file, which this YAML file can come from a config map, right? That happens to be added, and then Argo CD reboots, and then it mounts this file. So has the potential of getting things in here. So that's why if you are doing this in an organization that is an enterprise organization, get it reviewed by your whatever AppSec or application security team or whoever's doing that. Because adding a plugin, you're modifying the code that maybe was already blessed by Argo CD core, and this is an extensions that you're adding, and this could like do stuff like access services inside the cluster that should not be accessed, right?
And most important, especially as you're exploring either plugins that are available in the community, if you don't know something, let's say you don't know how it runs or you have questions and you have a security team, this is a great opportunity to raise your hand and say, I need help. I want some consultation. Do you have any advice for me? The security team will never, ever tell you you're dumb. They're going to be very happy that you came to them with questions.
Yeah. They will not say like if it has more than 10 stars, go ahead, put it in production, right? Grab it from open source. So there's a lot of useful plugins out there, but as any open source component, right? Don't, because sometimes they're easy to find, right? Very useful and easy to install, but maybe you're installing it from the wrong source, or maybe you're installing it on the fly and you're not downloading it first and expecting it or a specific version. So be careful with that plugin. I think that's Oh, any questions? Let me see what else is here that you can specify. But yeah, the Vault plugin is one that I don't know what else. Other one is popular. Lovely, Christian, Andy, the Lovely one
What?
has a couple of things. The Lovely plugin.
Oh yeah, the Argo CD Lovely plugin. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen it. I actually don't know what it does, but I've seen it. There's one of those. Yeah, like yeah, Raymond's like, what is Lovely? Yeah, it's a Argo CD Lovely plugin. If you Google it it's on GitHub somewhere. Actually
Yeah,
don't know what it does.
it's from guy that does Argo workflows. That other company. Let me see. Alan Klukas. I think
Oh,
it was
from
the
yeah.
created it, but I think it was Alan from that company. Where's my mind now? But yeah, I put the link in
PipeKit,
here.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, PipeKit. Yep. Let me put the link in here. That one is one that I inspected recently because someone at work was asking me like, what are good plugins to include in Argo CD? And I mentioned that one potentially could be one that is popular. It has a bunch of things like it handles Helm file. What right? If you anyone familiar with Helm
That's I
file?
think yeah, that one is actually probably one of the popular ones is using Helm file.
I think that's the
I
one.
think that yeah, there's also things like if you want to use Helm like directly, I see this as an anti-pattern, but some folks don't like the fact that when you do a Helm LS, you don't see anything on an Argo CD system because Argo CD doesn't use Helm
Put the
directly. So
secret. Yeah, put the secret
yeah,
that the
yeah,
information.
exactly. So like they'll use a plugin directly and then just patch, do a post render patch, like with Customizer or something like that. That'll annotate
Create the secret.
the object. No, it'll annotate the objects that the Helm
Oh,
install
with the
does.
Helm.
So that
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
yes.
way
Helm
it'll
release and the
show up
helm
in
other stuff. Okay, interesting.
it'll actually show up in the Argo CD UI.
That is an interesting pattern. I
Yeah.
have not seen that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I've seen that before. In Raymond. Yeah, Raymond. I see
Because
it as an anti-pattern because
I see. So it's not like they want the Helm CLI list and show, because Helm list show, I think it works out of the secret. Well, Andy is a maintainer; he knows more than me. But sometimes
Mhm.
you want the labels, because when you do install in another environment we have installed on your laptop or something, and you do things on label, those labels are missing. So maybe adding them. But I never heard that pattern. Interesting for
Yeah,
the
I wouldn't
labels.
do it, but no, yeah.
It's an
Um,
option out there. It's all at the eye of the
Yeah,
behoover.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an option out there. I wouldn't do it, but it is an option. Yeah.
So the next section is how to use the plugin, right? You can, in your application, there's a section that says under source is plugin, but you also under source will have your normal Git information, right? This is the source with the Git, and then
Yeah,
the plugin is
it,
like
it
something like run it through this plugin.
exactly. It's a superset of your typical Argo configuration.
And then if you put plugin with empty object, right, then it will use the discovery mechanism of like which plugin is the one that's going to handle this file. Is that correct? I think that's what last time I looked at the code. That's how it works.
I don't
You don't
remember
have to
offhand.
specify the name of the plugin.
I still think you do. I think you still have to specify the plugin. It just becomes a
Ye-
conditional of whether it actually executes or not.
You
Yeah.
don't. You
I
don't.
check in the docs this morning. That's why I was yeah. You can
You don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need it, but you need to put like a bracket to indicate a hint to the Argo CD, like look up plugins, right?
Oh, okay, that's what it is. You have to still specify that you want a plugin, but you don't have to specify the exact name of it. That's right.
Yeah. But you need an empty object, which sometimes I debate if that's a good UX, assuming that people know what an empty object is, that you put the bracket is kind of like, I have mixed feelings around that.
I thought you didn't need it at all.
Sorry?
I thought you didn't need name at all.
And the docs it was saying that it was needed, so I don't know.
Okay, maybe I have old information. It's been a while.
Yeah, we can check. I was checking in the docs because I was reading that part, and it mentioned the bracket thing. That's maybe I read it wrong. So yeah, this is a thing about Helm dependencies. If you're familiar with Helm, if you have something flat as Helm and it depends on other charts, right? You need this type of Helm dependency build so you can grab that stuff down and then act on it. So this is actually a good example. Maybe Andy was the one that came up with this example of init that you absolutely need to do before you do that.
The majority of the chapters, Christian has done the book, a good chunk of the book. This chapter was mainly mine in terms of an author perspective, which is why I had a blast with this chapter. This chapter, aside from the security one, was a ton of fun to play with.
And yeah, and this one I forgot. Init is also hackers like this one also. You can, but also you can also download stuff. You can put like a downloader, like download 1 meg or 2 megs of tools or zip file, whatever. A lot of things that you want to execute, which is an anti-pattern, right? That you need to version things and pin them, not download the latest. We do anything that you do this here delays, right? The syncing of our deployment of your application. So it's a critical path. On init? No, maybe it's only once. Not every time. Generate runs every time, I guess. Any questions on that before we see maybe another example of like actually how it gets configured? This is another one, customize Helm plugin. I thought this functionality is in Argo CD. There's a field. Or am I confused? Am I dreaming?
No, it's this is one of the, like, if you want to run it, before you needed to add this plugin in order to do customize Helm.
Yeah, it was basically showing how Argo has evolved over time and saying in the past you needed to do this, but now we don't need to.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one that you can include a Helm chart, right? Have customized inflate the Helm chart. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the Helm inflator. It's my favorite combination of the you get your peanut butter and your chocolate all at once.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't use it in some cases is because the charts come from an OCR that is authenticated and yada yada, right? Doesn't handle um, downloading charts or something like that. I knew I had problems, but it was able to handle like normal charts. So this is an example of basically this plugin.yaml needs to be specified in a specific location, right? Inside the Argo CD, which one? Repo server? I'm now confused.
Yeah, it's repo server.
It's a repo server,
Yeah.
and it needs to go into here. So how do you specify more than one plugin? Now I'm confused.
You have multiple sidecars.
It's multiple sidecars.
Yep.
It's not the most elegant, I will tell you that. But yes, you need multiple sidecars on the repo server.
So explain that again, because the repo server only has one folder and it's this file and it's plugin.yaml. How do you specify plugin2.yaml?
Yeah,
Or?
the plugin.yaml has that the configuration there has multiple sidecars.
Still confused. Like I have
Yeah.
plugin.yaml.
Yeah.
How do I
Yep.
specify the
And
second one?
it's in the plugin.yaml. So if you scroll up, you plugin.yaml, you can have multiple sidecars. So that's like a very small config, and we showed you that big config up there.
Ah, I see. So the full one. This
The,
is
the full one is a little verbose, which is why we did it
this one.
once and we kind of zoomed in for the rest of the configurations.
And I can specify more plugins in this one file, plugin.yaml.
I think you mount it as different volumes, but it's the same name.
It's the same file.
It's
It's the same file structure, but they are different files.
Ah, okay. That's what I meant, right? But they all go under config, I guess, right? So it will find all the files in this folder,
from what I remember, yeah.
right?
I feel like you had to specify each individual one explicitly, but it's been
Yeah,
a
because I
while.
think you do like mount path, mount path.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a lot of volume mounts.
Yeah, to get different files, right? To be inside
Yeah.
this folder, or at the end of the day,
Like
as do your Kubernetes thing as long as you put the files in this from his view on this folder, right? And he will find them all in there.
Yeah, so in Raymond's case, he has eight of those mount paths.
Yeah, it's
And says you need to reset all the Helm environment variables when using Helm. Can you explain that, Raymond?
yeah. So on the Argo CD repo server, it already sets like the Helm cache home, Helm config home, Helm data home. But when you're doing the sidecar, it doesn't have those environment variables.
I
They
see.
reset those.
I see. And now with so these are pointing to where's this sidecar come into place? Is this one of the containers that you expose?
It's one of the containers on the repo server.
I see.
Yeah,
That's how you're able to not only because what you end up having to do is in many cases you're going to have custom tooling inside your specific sidecar container
Mm-hmm.
for the plugin itself. So a good example is I want to include my own binary, the YTT plugin that you mentioned earlier. It's going to have the YTT binary included within the image, as well as any other dependencies that it needs.
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
We built our own Argo CD with all the binaries we need.
Yeah, you can customize. I was reading that documentation that you can like just augment, right? Take it as a base image and then add anything to it, right? Add all the things into it.
Yeah,
The
This is
only
for people
challenge
that
with
don't want to change that. Go ahead.
The only challenge with that is always you then have to manage the life cycle of your plugins
Yep.
on that image as
Yeah.
well, and then it becomes a wonderful operational task.
Pay the piper. What do you say? Like pay the piper now or later. You have to vet the image and the plugins. So yeah, unless you don't want to have those two life cycles separately. Yeah. 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 Cool. So that's the plugin, and then like anything else, right? You're adding another container, then you need to bless in your organization, what's inside that container and such. And explains this is a part of the requirements, like the sidecar must run as user 999 and the requirements for that. Let's move into another um, customization aspect, the UI. Is this where starts the UI or not? Oh, this is like
No.
showing the customized Helm application, like working,
Yeah,
the
it's
full
actually showing the
example.
actual execution of the plugin itself. Yeah.
And then the environment variables and parameters, that's something that gets passed from the application
You can,
definition, but you
yeah,
can
you
pass
can
it
go ahead.
before, right? If they're not
So,
dynamic.
well, there's two actually. There's a way that you can do it statically, but you can also do it dynamically too. And this is a way that you can kind of customize the execution of the plugin itself based upon at an application perspective.
So this is giving power to the developer, right? To the end user, saying you can pass information or requirements, right, to the Argo CD plugin via environment variables or parameters down here.
It's it's mainly so you're actually going ahead and curating the execution of it based upon the environment, the context that it's operating within.
And what would be, they almost look the same, parameters and environment variables. What would be the difference between the two?
I mean, in the end, I think they're both they end up both being the same. It's just I think they actually got introduced to different life cycles of Argo. Christian, I think keep me honest on that one. I'm pretty sure like environment
I think you're
variables were
right.
there first, and then they introduced parameters to make it easier. But
The
they
UI.
kept the
You see the UI
environment
here?
yeah they kept the environment variables mainly for compatibility reasons.
I see. So parameters is newer and it's a nice user experience, right? Because you can put the name and
Yeah,
the
and the UI.
title, and
Yeah.
then the UI,
Exactly.
people will see
Yeah.
like, for deploying this
Like if
application, you
it's
need to pass me parameters, and these are the titles
yeah,
and
yeah.
fields.
It's like a user experiencing like as an operator if you want to like provide your end users with like you said, like, hey, provide me these parameters and that way you can
It's it's
change the
it's
behavior, right?
Yeah, it's just mainly so it's like if you're creating the app, it'll just go ahead and provide the completion, as they say, and you're not having to have the user guess based upon
Yes.
whatever environment you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. So use, I think the best practice is use parameters. Um, And then the moving into UI customization, banner notification. Actually, this is the one I was going to talk about, but which is a low hanging fruit, right? If you want to modify the UI, why would people use this? The banner. This is
Banner notification is the easiest one. We're gonna do maintenance on the server, or something's gonna occur at some point in the day. Here's a notification saying, "Hey, watch out for this. Don't make sure you have your prod rollouts during this time period because the server's gonna go down."
yeah. I did implement this. Have an example if people want to see it, but it was to identify the production like the name of the cluster, because in there's an environment where every cluster has an Argo CD, and when you log in, usually you lose context of which cluster you're talking to. So I put the like production cluster, production environment, development environment, production region, something. The only thing that I complain, maybe I should open a defect, an issue, is that it's not well, cannot be read well because the color of the text is almost the same color of the background. So people usually don't pay attention to it. But you can mostly modify with CSS. That's I think that's where I stopped looking deeper into this. I was going to modify the CSS of the banner. I think I did. I now don't remember. Yeah, I think I did. I made it like red. and yellow, very bright, to for this banner to show up there. But yeah, maintenance schedule for people to be like it's a like a pop-up right there. So going to yellow, and I mentioned yellow and red custom styles. Why would people do this, Christian or Andy?
They want to curate the experience of Argo. They want to basically brand it. You put it in your
Ah,
organizational colors. You want to go ahead and make it your own instead of just some off the box product. You want to make it so it kind of aligns to other
Yeah, and
applications that are within your organization.
what's really cool is Andy has a blog out there for the OpenShift console. I don't know if it's still valid, but
yeah.
It still
it
is.
was
It
it was
still is.
yeah. It's really so like that's something like Andy that has always been doing, I guess, for his clients and stuff. And like it's cool that you can do the same with Argo, whereas basically they don't. That's another thing is like they don't really know that they're using Argo. They know they're using a platform to interface to deploy their and manage their applications, and it's kind of nice, right? Like to kind of like I always call Argo's UI the first attempt at at an IDP, right? An internal developer
Yep.
platform. And so it's so it's just kind of cool. It's like they don't really, again, Argo is meant to abstract Kubernetes, so it's like it's not, your end users don't really need to know they're using something for Kubernetes, so it's kind of a nice thing to do.
Yeah, and you can put this. The CSS is just you need to go down into the your front end. Basically, you know what you're looking for, right? You do the inspection of the front. I don't think this everything is documented, right? Like every possible thing that you can modify. But if you're a front end engineer, developer, you can do the right click inspect and go through the CSS and then add your overrides. And this is an area where um, maybe someone has like PRs that would change the names of these things, and the Argo community is very sensitive. Like it may be a good idea, but we don't want to change it because people put CSS overrides and lookups, right? Are they depending on those divs on the CS and the way that it's there? So it's has potential to be brittle, but if the community is strict in terms of like generating the custom components with the consistent HTML, right? The CSS can be applied. I don't know if that makes sense. People may be afraid of like making overrides, but I think the Argo UI is stable so far in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, in the back end, it's always this a Swagger interface, right? So like the UI just kind of interfaces with that, and this is just like really niceties that you can put on top of it.
Yep. And yeah, and vendors, right? If vendors want to,
Yeah,
um, you know, include Argo CD in their offering, right? Then they like can make it like Andy said, like blue wash or white wash, and like Acuity, Harness, CoFresh, right?
yeah,
All of them can put their own logo and change the color scheme to match the rest of their or the branding.
yeah. I wonder if Raymond. I wonder if Forbes has something like if it's the Forbes CD and it's just Argo underneath.
I have not
The
touched it
UI.
at all.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I don't remember. I used to do this a lot, like when I used to be a front end for enterprises. A lot of accessibility testing, that the color contrast and the rendering and everything can be used without a mouse and things like that. I don't know. Maybe it was done because this is core from Red Hat. Do you know, Andy?
That I don't know.
Okay. Um, like some environments are very strict in terms of accessibility when you're selling enterprise software, and it has a web UI. Then you spend a lot of time making it work. But I think these days a lot of frameworks handle that. That was like maybe 10 years ago. I used to do front end. UI extensions. Like, why would you want to do any UI extensions? Acuity has extensions or Red Hat.
I know
Christian, do you
Acuity
know?
does. Acuity, yeah. Acuity has extensions, kind of like pre-built ones. I think Helm files one of them, and I think there's a Helm lookup one as well.
Argo
Uh,
rollouts. Just an Argo rollouts that you can put in Argo
oh
CD.
yeah, Argo rollouts. Yeah. The AI assistant. There's like things that Red Hat does have one. I think Gerald built the AI chatbot.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
Lightspeed one that Hero built. Yep.
mhm.
So and it can also be like widgets, right? Not just like extensions on the things. It could be like a widgets. I
Yeah,
thought Intuit had a metrics, or someone has something about adding metrics, the Prometheus metrics in here to see the Prometheus metrics in the Argo CD application. Or I know I saw that in an ArgoCon.
I
Uh,
know. Yeah. Well, actually, that might have been an Intuit. Yeah, because I know Acuity has Dora metrics, but those are like specific, like actual to Dora, not Prometheus specific metrics. So that might have been Intuit. You're right.
Raymond saying like, Raymond, have you seen the metrics one? The one I'm talking about?
I was actually just talking about that a few days ago with a few people, but I have not actually seen it.
I think. And yeah, and the way that it works is React. Is you write a React component, Randy, Christian?
It is. Yeah, I think it's React. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
TypeScript. It's
React JS.
TypeScript. Yeah.
Oh, TypeScript. Yeah.
Ah, found it. Actually, it's under Argo Labs. Here it is. It's the metrics extensions. Argo CD dash extensions dash metrics. And it will give you like the metrics for your application and everything. Yeah, yeah. It's in Argo Labs. Last commit was by Michael, 2024, June 2024, a year ago. But I think Intuit uses this one, or based on this one. So that's a good, actually that's a good one. I think when I was doing it, showing a demo one time. And you give in the book, and a cool example. The thing that I like about the book is like you actually do an example and uses the Git repo. So if you're new to these sessions, there's a GitHub repo companion to the book. So in chapter CH11, right, folder, they will be there, and then these commands you can run them in there. And I think they added a icon for the book, right? That you click this button and it brings this component which has a text, so it shows that.
Yep. Exactly.
Think that's it for any questions. I can move to some of the links I was looking at.
Has anyone in the audience actually gone ahead and explored extending Argo with extensions?
What have you done, Jack?
'Cause I want to wait till the end to ask my question. So
Okay, go ahead.
imagine, so this is where I'm coming from or where I came from. Imagine being a vendor delivering into a customer's continuous delivery chain. And our customer would tell us, oh, we've got Argo. So we have Argo too. So we test it and we deliver it to our customer. And their Argo is different because it's customized and it's got bells and whistles. And so our delivery fails because we don't know the customizations. Now, if you have an internal development organization and you're managing, you can give requirements. But if there's a lag between a customer's continuous delivery chain requirements and what the vendor sees. And so, does what I described, is that a problem that Argo customizations runs into?
It would have to be a really
Yeah,
really
customer.
customized version of Argo CD, right? Because
Yeah.
like if because if you give Argo just like by default, like just like raw YAML or Helm or customize or whatever, it'll just work, right? So unless they're intercepting like everything.
Where I could see there being conflict is if you have like overlapping CSS configurations.
Okay.
That's where I could see them potentially fighting with each other. I've never tried it, but that's if I was thinking of one, because usually the plugins and like the extensions themselves are somewhat isolated from each other. But CSS, there's a good chance you will have overlap.
So Jack, the only I see where you're coming from because I'm familiar with the use case where like you are providing software that the customer can deploy with Customize, with Helm, with Argo, with Flux, with scripts with Jenkins, right? And
Everyone's different.
you don't want to
Everyone's
test all permutations, but in the case of Argo CD, what would be, I don't think, because they did customizations. Actually, I would say go ahead. They should, your deployment should fail. It should be a problem with your deployment, the YAML files that you're providing or the Helm chart that you're providing. Hopefully, you're providing a Helm chart.
Oh yeah.
And they run it. The only thing that I would say is maybe that's the but it's not related to customization. It could be something related to your Helm chart. It's doing something that Argo CD cannot handle because we do a template and it's not a hook or something like that, or hook is not respected. So that's where you can get into trouble. The other, so I would say that's the only case, like there's something shenanigans with your Helm chart that maybe Argo CD cannot, just putting specific things in there that Argo CD doesn't do. The other one is the health of your CRD. So if you are a vendor, you providing a controller with CRDs, then you need to give the customer the Lua scripts that they need to add into the Argo CD to make sure that Argo CD can check when your things are healthy. So if they do sync waves or your software is dependent deploying in certain conditions or in this in different in a certain order, or just to see the health, it'll be those Lua script, that extra work in your work items on things to do for the customer. It'll
Hmm.
be like provide Lua scripts because we provide CRDs. And the other one is that you tested the Helm chart deployment with the latest version of Argo CD at least, right? And you can say it works fine. I tested it with Argo CD. It took me 2 or 3 hours to test it, and it's validated my CI/CD pipeline. And at least I can test. I test with the latest Argo CD. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, all makes sense. All makes sense. I'm just trying to hear how other people work the problem.
Yeah. The only thing I would say, do not provide, well, it's up to you, right? If you provide them a React UI component for installing in their Argo CD, then you get into trouble, right? Because they could have a Argo CD version 2.8,
Hmm. Hmm.
and now you have to test in .8, .9, .10, .11, or .15 forever. So to make sure that that UI always works in certain versions of Argo CD, right? But I don't think you're providing UI
No, no, no,
uh, widgets or extensions.
no, no. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Um, yeah, this is the documentation. I was looking at the Fly widget, has same examples as the book. There's something about the proxy also. I don't know if the book covers that or not. Maybe this is old. Also dangerous of providing a proxy to a backend through the Argo CD. Um, Custom tooling. If you need certain tools or certain versions of Argo CD or Helm, sorry, for Helm or any CLI, it shows how to, or even like we were discussing today, build your own image. I think what Raymond was mentioning, like taking a base image and then overriding certain versions. In this case, it's using subs because the version of subs in Argo CD is old or does it's not included. I'm not sure.
It's
What
not
is this?
included. It's part of Flux. It's not part of Argo.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, you have to include it via a
I'm
plugin.
PGP. Huh. Okay.
There
Okay.
is PGP support, but there's
Yeah.
no encryption inside of the house though.
I see. I see. I saw that in here.
And I think it's chapter 9 when we talk about the ways that you can ensure there's signing of commits for your manifests.
Yep. Oh, and there's something here interesting, right? You can put even a link. It becomes a button that you can like click on it. Well, no, the thing is a URL, so you can put a URL, and where do you want that notification in? And yeah, and this says remember because I was showing this. This is a repo that I maintain that have a few Argo CD like customization things that I did. So this is how I put like a banner saying production environment. And if you go to staging environment, um, it will say staging, and that's how I know which Argo CD I'm looking at. Um, develop versus staging. Sometimes I'm working with one or the other. such as a real life example, and people use it in production. This to say which Argo CD you're talking to.
Yeah, like I always done the in other systems as well. Big red banner. You are on a production system. Be careful.
Do not click things that you should not be clicking. Right.
Yeah.
That's yeah. That's not a strategy. That's hope. So people configure Argo RBAC.
Yeah.
Configure RBAC for both Kubernetes and Argo RBAC. Okay. Any more questions? Any comments? Jack, Raymond, Matt?
Have we
Let's see who has-
inspired anyone to go ahead and extend Argo themselves? Raise your hand.
I didn't know it was so easy to create a React component. I never seen an example, so I'm glad that you put it in the book.
Thank you
new
for
to
making
me.
me aware of it. As you heard from my question, I want as standard and normal as possible for cross-vendor compatibility. And I'm just going to do research. I'm going to click into it a little bit and research it more. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you next week. Next week is what chapter? 12 is what's the title? Let me look it up. Integrating with CI and Argo CD. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. We can see CI and CD. I think I saw somebody in LinkedIn saying that CI and CD is anti-pattern. We should not use that term or something like that. There was so much hate around that term. That is CD or CI. There's no CI CD, but I'm confused on what they meant. Okay, so I see. Oh, I even see pipeline task, pipeline run. I see some Tecton.
Yeah,
Maybe some Tecton there.
we use Tecton as a reference CI implementation.
Yep, I did a lot of Tecton in my life. To the point that we got it out from Knative build. Cool. And yeah, and there will be questions around that. People are doing it with Jenkins. People are doing it with Cargo. People are doing it with Argo GitHub Actions, vendor tools. There's a lot of them. So yeah, I like that you picked Tecton. We'll see you next week. Thank you, folks, for joining today. I'll put the recording up.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.